some time ago, I shared with you guys the culture shocks I experienced when I first got to Germany, living amongst new people and interacting with these new people. And I was surprised by how they live and all. But today, I'm going to be sharing with you the culture shocks I experienced in the workplace. So, number one, I had just resumed the office, and hadn't met my boss one-on-one yet. Later in the day, the boss came around and there was no difference in the atmosphere. Like, nobody shaked, nobody moved. Everybody was just working normally like they used to work. Seriously. Because someone even had to tell me that the boss was in, because she knew that I hadn't met the boss yet. And it was like, oh, the boss was in and I could see him and all. And I was like, really? Oga entered this office and nobody moved body, like, and people are just sitting there. Nobody went to carry his bag or anything. People are very rude in this office. I don't know. Anyway, now to top it off, she didn't even say the boss is around or Oga is around. She called him by his name. I was like, huh? Is that I was like, is that how you people used to do in this place? Like, you people don't even have respect whatsoever. You are calling your guy by his name, by his real name, by the name that his father and his mother gave to him. That's what you are calling him with your full mouth. Hey, God. It took me a while. It took me, like, I think a couple of weeks before I was able to confidently call this man by his name. Every time, I always dodge. I always find a way to avoid having to call him by his name. Because I'm like, how do I call this man by his name? This man is old enough to be my father. This man is my Oga and he's old enough to be my father. How do I call him by his name? Oh my God. Oh my God, the Nigerian in me was fighting it. But in any case, I eventually got used to calling him by his name, because that's like the normal thing. Everybody calls everybody by their name. Nothing, they never say Mr. Seth when they're even calling their colleagues. I mean, calling their colleagues. But if you're calling somebody, if you're talking to somebody for the first time, somebody you have not met before, somebody who you're not familiar with, most often than not, you will say Frau this or Herr this. So Herr is Mr. and Frau is Mrs. But once you guys are now working together, you guys are colleagues, it's by first name. First name. Oh my God. Anyway, that's number two. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, guys, come on, man, it's free. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I drop every new video. And share this video, please. Share this video to your friends so that the video can get to more people and it can help me with the YouTube algorithm. Algorithm. Do you know, guys, I used to say algorithm before. I don't even know why. Ah, God, I used to say algorithm for a very long time. What I used to say. Anyway, the YouTube algorithm. Number three was that everybody is very serious. No noise. Like, you come into the office, everywhere is quiet. Everywhere is... My phone rang in the office. I almost died. I almost died out of embarrassment because everybody just turned to look at you like, oh, are you okay? Why is your phone on? Why is your phone even ringing? I almost fainted. I almost fell into the ground. Like, the office is always very quiet. You hardly hear people talk or discuss. So nothing like, say, you go back and meet your colleague in the office and say, hey, something happened, like, to gist and all. That doesn't happen. Every second of your time counts. About time counting, you have to fill up time sheets. Every day you work, you have to fill up time sheets. You have to account for every time that you spent in the office. You have to detail it carefully in your time sheet. That's how you get paid. If you don't do this, you're not going to see your money. You're not going to see your salary. I'm like, hey, God. Hey, God, what is this? This is what will keep me in this work. Every day you have to fill time sheets. You have to fill when you came in, when you left, and all. Except if your office, your key is already automated such that when you clock in, it reads that you clocked in. And when you clock out, it reads that you clock out, and all of that. But in most offices, even though that there's a reading for that, you will still have to fill your timesheet to say what you did at what time, and all of that. I don't know if some offices even record your screen activity. They monitor your screen activity, what you're doing, and all. So you're not doing some personal stuff on office time. very different. So this means that overtime is definitely paid for, you know. So if you are working more than the hours you're supposed to be working, you are going to be paid for it. So it's not the one that you are in the office until 10 o'clock like we do in like we do in Nigeria. Your guy can keep you in the office till heaven knows when, and then decide to release you whenever, you know. But here it doesn't work like that. I was shocked. I was shocked by this. Another thing is that you're paid by the hour. Okay, this also ties with the timesheet thing, yeah, but you're paid by the hour. Your salary is calculated by the hour. Even on your contract, you see how much you are being paid per hour. So it's not by month, it's not monthly salary, it's hourly. Although eventually you're being paid at the end of the month, but what accumulates to what you get at the end of the month is what you are being paid per hour. So some people can decide to work a certain number of hours depending on what your agreement is. So the standard working hour for the week is 40 hours per week. You can decide to work 40 hours per week, 20 hours per week. You know, this depends on what your contract is. So you might be working more than others or less, you know, everything is calculated by the hour. Another shocker is that if somebody does not want to do overtime, you cannot force the person to do overtime. Like sometimes if you already know when this person closes for work normally, and maybe you go and put an activity that encroaches into that time, the person can stand up and leave. Like I've been in situations where we're having like meeting like for the office where the HR team is giving us like a briefing and all of that. And it was time for some people to go, and they just carried their kaya and were going home straight. Nobody's talking about it. It's not even up for discussion. If the person's time has reached to go home, they go home without feeling guilty, without thinking, say, oh, what. Even if you have a lot of work to do, if you choose not to do it, if you choose not to work overtime, nobody's going to penalize you for it. Nobody, you're not going to say, hey, Oga go vec, want to. No. As long as you're actually working during your normal working time, you will go home when you want to go home without feeling guilty about it. And then another thing that shocks me again, your boss asks you for your opinion. Really? In the world that may I come from, your guy does not ask you what you think. Your guy does not ask you when do you think we can have a meeting. When do you think what? Your guy can decide to have meeting by 8 p.m. and you have to be there for that meeting. Somebody can even say we're having meeting with you by so and so time, and then you'll be there in the person's hallway waiting till 1 a.m. early in the morning. No, that doesn't happen. Someone's going to ask you, when do you have the time for the meeting? You guys are going to come to you guys are going to discuss about the timing and agree on the time that works for both of you. And then everybody actually shows up when that meeting is supposed to be held. I'm like, oh my god, somebody asked me. You know, the first few times when I was asked my opinion as regarding to time, I'm like, where am I going to? I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Tell me when you want me to show up and I will show up. What are you asking me my opinion for? But yeah, I learned that everyone's opinion matter. Everyone's time is important. Everyone's time matter. And so when anything needs to be done that's going to affect your time, your opinion most often than not is going to be asked for. Except it's something that's already a recurring event, that's already fixed. Then you already know beforehand that this is going to happen. But if it's something that you guys have to plan, you guys have to fix at different times, everyone has to be in agreement to that time for that meeting or that event or that activity or whatever. Nobody bullies anybody, or at least in my own experience, nobody bullies anybody. Everybody's entitled to a strong opinion if they have it. Another interesting thing is that you have flexible working time. So in some offices, not in all offices, I think, but I know that in a lot of offices, you can choose to resume by 7 o'clock and close by 4, resume by 8 o'clock and close by 5, resume by 7:30 and close by 4:30, resume by 9 o'clock and close by 6, whatever. Your timing is flexible. Some offices have their opening time up until even 10 a.m. So you can resume between 7 to 10 a.m. as you choose, so that you can close whenever your 8 hours for the day is complete, you know. And that's really beautiful, yeah. So it means that if you have kids that you need to drop off at school and pick up, you can plan your time with your partner as to, okay, this person goes early and this person comes late, stuff like that. And this way you can drop the kids, so this other person can pick up the kids. Or if you have other things that you plan to do in the day, you can decide to come early to work that day so you can leave a lot earlier so that you can meet up with your appointments. So the timing for work is not fixed 8 to 5. It's not fixed. You can adjust it as it suits you. This is applicable to a lot of offices. Only very few offices don't have that flexible working time, and it's really strange, especially with the whole thing now. People are now really getting even much more flexible with it, with working from home offices, and all. There's a lot more flexibility now with timing. And the next shock is that when you call in sick, you have to bring the doctor's reports to back up your falling sick. It's not the one that you call your guy and say, I'm not feeling fine, I want to, so I cannot come to work today. And your guy says, okay, no problem. Then maybe 2 days later, you come to work here and then you're feeling fine. So that you have to come with evidence that you are actually sick. The doctor has to recommend that, okay, you needed to stay at home for 1, 2, or 3 days. If the doctor says 1 day, you stay 1 day. If the doctor says 2 days or 3 days, you stay for those 2 or 3 days. This is because somebody has to pay for those days, because you're going to be paid. If you call in sick, you're going to be paid for those days, and somebody has to take up that bill. So usually it is your insurance office that will take up that bill, and they have to there has to be a way to prove that you are actually sick so that bill can be taken care of. If not, nobody's going to pay you for those days that you did not come to work. Just know it. So these are some things I've experienced in the German workspace that have been surprising to me. I've been like, oh, wow. Now, coupled with the fact that everyone is super responsible for their work. Yes, this is the case everywhere, of course. Everyone is responsible for their work, but it's beautiful that everyone has a certain level of authority over the work that they do, as against having to wait for your boss to take certain decisions or make certain calls or do certain things. You have a certain level of authority to do a lot of things, to take a lot of decisions, to make a lot of decisions on the projects that you are working on. At least this is the case for my own field. I don't know for other people's fields, So yeah, these are my experiences, or these are my shocks that I've experienced in the German work office. If you are working in Germany, please let me know what your own workplace cultural shock has been. Is it a culture shock really, or is it just the way people just are in different places? I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's just, it's just the way we are, just in different places like that. I don't know if that's right, if that's me saying the same thing again or not. But let me know what you think of these culture shocks and the culture shocks or the workplace shocks that you have experienced working here in Germany. Until I see you next time, guys, do have a fantastic week. Bye.